Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for The Handmaid's Tale Season 6, Episodes 1 through 3. It has been literally years since this show was last on the air.
It absolutely was. And they gave us 3 episodes right away here at the premiere to bring us back in. I mean, even just the whole just in case you forgot what happened because it's been years was like 4 minutes long. Thank goodness though.
Yeah.
I rewatched the finale, but at the same time, it has just been so long since the season 5 finale.
Yeah, and I know that there were a lot of extenuating circumstances beyond the show's control as to why it was off the air so long, but at the same time, they kind of do have this imperative to bring people back into this world. Like, I have heard jokes over the past couple of weeks that are like, oh, I thought that show ended years ago, and
Yes.
all this other stuff. I mean, 6 seasons is a long time for a streaming show to go on. I'm still grateful. I still enjoy watching The Handmaid's Tale. I still find myself rooting for a lot of these people, but I will say this from the jump. There better be some sort of happy ending for at least a few of these characters because we have endured too much with this world otherwise.
I really want to see some sort of a happy ending. Like, do I think that Gilead and everything's going to be all crumbled and that the resistance is going to win? I don't, but at the same time, this story is really for me more about June and seeing June's happiness, real happiness, which is why we are going to be getting into this video into should she be with Luke? Should she be with Nick? Who is she actually going to be happiest with?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult question to answer because I think both of them bring certain things to the table. Both of them mean something entirely different to her. And we see a little bit of explored on both fronts over the first few episodes. But, we're going to talk all about that, the train ride, where things are with a number of new characters. Oh, hey, look, it's Josh Charles. Like, there's so much to get into here. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are going to be here throughout all of The Handmaid's Tale moving forward with reviews, all sorts of other good stuff. By the way, the spinoff The Testaments has now been formally picked up, so that's coming at some point down the road as well.
Yes, we are going to have Handmaid's Tale videos here 3 times a week with reviews, previews, and theories. So hit that subscribe button and stick with us through the last season of the show.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it's at the last season of the show, but here we are. And also follow us over on our Patreon for more Handmaid's Tale discussion. We are also covering over there exclusively The Pit, which is airing on Max. It's coming up on its big finale. And we are also covering Bosch Legacy, and that is in its final season, and you can only get those reviews over on our Patreon. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined. It really helps us here at the channel.
Thank you guys. We do really, really appreciate that.
Okay, let's just get into the Nick and Luke of it all because lots of us out there have been talking about this for years of who she is going to end up with, who she should end up with. There is Team Luke, there is Team Nick. I remember even recently seeing some of the cast doing let's answer questions from fans, or let's answer comments or talk about comments that people have said. And they have the actor playing Luke being like, I hope June and Nick get together. And he's like, really, guys? Thanks.
Don't do OT like that.
So funny.
He's my guy. He was in Presumed Innocent. I really am fascinated by this debate because this is not some prototypical cheesy love triangle. I think they've all gone through some extremes amounts of trauma, pain.
Yes.
I will always be Team Luke. I will say that from the get-go. I love OT. I love Luke, the character. I mean, he is somebody who just continues to fight and fight and fight. And yeah, I know that he and June were apart for a very, very long time, and that was difficult. But it's not exactly like there was nothing, he was just sitting back and doing nothing. It's like, what could he have done in a lot of this period of time? Like, he was up against it.
Absolutely. I really like Luke. If I got to just pick who I like the best, it's Luke.
Yeah.
However, who do I actually think she would do best with at this point? It's probably Nick. And while Nick is not my favorite character, Nick has been there for her and has actually been able to help her with what's going on with trying to get back Hannah, but to also try to help get her out and everything that's been going on. The thing is that June has changed. What happened to her changed her to her core in a way that Luke can never understand. And that's okay. There are relationships that are like that. However, Nick does understand that more with what she has actually gone through and the trauma that she's gone through and the person she's become, which is the person that she is now with Nick. And I think that when we saw them in this episode where it was like, oh, Luke is, awaiting trial, now he's with Mayday, him and Moira are out in no man's land. Nick has destroyed his phone. He's no longer helping anymore at that point. Once June finds out and she's like, oh, okay, you need to get a hold of Nick. No problem. I'm going to get a hold of Nick. And it works out. Of course, he comes to her because he always does. He's in love with her. He even said, he's like, it's so difficult loving you, but like, I cannot stop. Like, I truly just love you. And I know that she truly loves him as well. But the thing that really stuck with me that she said to him when he was just like, you chose, and you didn't choose me. And that's the way that it is. She said the reason that she chose was because Luke waited for her. And it's like, well, that's not a reason to be with somebody. It's great that he waited for you. That's an honorable, wonderful thing. It's great that he fought for you. It's great that he waited for you. But that's not a reason to be with him. It's because you love him is the reason you are with him. Not, I chose him because he waited.
Yeah, this is the thing. If you're gonna be with Luke, be with Luke because you love him and you want to be with him. Luke deserves the world in my eyes, and I want him to be happy at the end of
Yes.
this. And if you are really loving someone else, then let Luke be, and then Luke can go and find somebody else and live a very, very happy life for himself as well. I mean, all of this is just like layered, and all these messy complications due in part to what Nick's status is, the relationship that Nick has. It's not exactly like he's in a point now where he can be like, let me just drop everything and now be with you, June, given everyone he is attached to.
Nick is in a really, really complicated spot. He's in the most interesting storyline by a mile, where he is, in love with June, who has picked Luke. At the same time, even that goodbye, this was the first goodbye where they were like, we'll just say see you later. We'll see you soon. Like, we're going to see each other again. And at that point, I was like, uh-oh, maybe this is the point that they don't ever see each other again. Like, how does Nick navigate this? He is married to Wharton's daughter. Wharton is very clearly somebody who is in some of the highest commander positions. Like, we know that there's no like Gilead president, but there is a board of high ranking commanders. He is one of these people. How much power does he really have? It's a lot. So if, we've got Nick, who's Rose knows that every time he's gone missing, he's off to see June, he's in love with somebody else. She's had enough of it. And she's just like, I'm done with you. I have a choice. I'm leaving. And I'm just like, oh, my dear girl, do you have a choice? Like, do you not know what world that you're in? But then at the same time, I'm kind of looking at it being like, well, her father is someone who is a very high influence in this world, who has gotten her to the point that she can choose whoever she wanted to be her husband. She has a little more power than I think most of the wives, but I don't think she has the power to divorce.
No, if she did something like that, then Wharton would have to go and explain it to everybody else. Which, by the way, I do like the idea of, okay, we're seeing one of these people now. The head of Gilead is not as ambiguous as the board on Severance, where we just hear about them all the time. It's like, who is the board? What are the goats for? Like,
right there, the board.
No, it's just like, we kind of know what the goats are for now. But anyway, I like that we have somebody like this, but it's a reminder that, okay, Josh Charles he's just one person. He has to go and try to justify all this other stuff. And these other people, even if he cares for his daughter's happiness more than anybody else in the world, she's still a woman in Gilead. It's like
Right.
there's only so much that can be done here. Like, I'll just say, drop this in here. I like that Josh Charles is on the show. He's a very good actor. I'm probably going to hate his character very, very much. So I will say this to you right now, Josh Charles. It's not you. They
Oh my God.
they did you dirty on The Good Wife, and I'm still not over it. But it's just like I'm happy you're here.
No, he's absolutely going to be a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
they're setting it up that way. And on top of it, him being as charming as he is,
Yes.
where he's able to really influence Nick to throw away this phone that he didn't know Nick had, presumably, that he's able to charm him into being like, yeah, this is just the way that things are. And you have this bright future and let's gas you up. And you're with my daughter, family, whatever. Like, I was like, oh my God, he got him to turn around in this one conversation. And then it's like, you see him with Serena, where he's throwing her flowery compliments and really gassing her up to gas up New Bethlehem to bring her back. He's gassed up Lawrence to even go and bring Serena back.
Yeah.
It's just, he is so charming and he is so charismatic, and that is dangerous.
Yeah, this is not Waterford. This is not even Commander Lawrence, who we know is kind of trying to straddle a different line on every single episode known to mankind. Like, he has something in his ability set that is very, very dangerous. And this is true for, The Handmaid's Tale or in life. It's just that if somebody legitimately believes everything that they're saying, regardless of how wrong it is, it's something that they can then sell to other people. And if you're charismatic enough, there's going to be countless individuals who are going to be vulnerable to that. And that's why, as powerful as someone as June may be, and as capable of a revolutionary as she is, like, she's going to potentially contend this season with somebody who has a lot easier ability to sort of get their message out than she does.
Yeah, he really manipulated three major players in this to be able to get these diplomats from all these different countries to send back their people to New Bethlehem after they're like trying to escape Gilead, where you've got Serena being this mouthpiece, trotting out her baby, being like, yeah, Gilead had some problems, but they did, help clean the water and the air. And look, not only, are people getting pregnant, but like we have, another baby on the way. We have this baby here. And people go, oh my goodness, babies, like we're actually going to be able to do something about what's happened. This is amazing. Okay, cool. We'll send our people back. And it's like, okay, that's crazy that people have left and escaped what was going on to then have the diplomats come back and be like, oh, you know what, cute baby, we will send them back. And I know at this point, Lawrence and Serena kind of feel like, okay, we can make more New Bethlehems and this can be a different new sort of world, where Wharton's like, one step at a time, guys. I'm like, oh no.
I want to just shake Lawrence and be like, what's wrong with you? There's a lot of characters on this show. I just want to be like, what's wrong with you? And we'll go back a step here and get into the premiere of it all with Serena, because Serena, one of the most loathsome characters I can remember in a long time in television. And even when she's not the full dark side version of Serena that we saw in the early seasons, she still continuously makes me mad on a number of different levels, including this train episode, which I always like episodes that are set in enclosed spaces. This is probably why I'm the world's biggest hijack fan, but I was just like watching this, I was very all in on a lot of it. But the moment that Serena just starts like doing her typical Serena spiel and talking about all these things that all these other women on the train don't want to hear about, I was just like, what's wrong with you? Like, can't you just keep it together for one stinking train ride?
I was team mob, and I hate saying that, but it's true. It's just, Serena frustrates me to no end. And it's great that June has gotten to a point where she's like, you know what? I'm moving past what Serena did to me. But you know what, June? I have not moved past what Serena has done to you. And if this whole thing doesn't end with Serena getting hers, then like I I don't know what I've been watching the show for. I am really waiting to see her really get hers. I know June's like, oh, she paid. She lost her finger. I'm like, no, 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 no. No. She has not paid for anything yet because she still believes in this. And she is still out here, yeah, the message has changed a little bit, but it is still the same.
Yeah, I do think.
Oh, women are allowed to read now. Serena, get out of here. Are you kidding me? Oh, well, thanks, Serena.
Congratulations on advertising the absolute bare minimum to the masses at this point. Now, I do think, I don't even think this is a tinfoil hat. I just think Serena's going to die before the show is over. And the reason I think Serena's going to die is just that we have seen time and time again, if you quote unquote punish Serena, she somehow finds her way to stumble out of it. It's like, no matter what happens, she manages to get to a somewhat decent spot. And the only way that's ever going to stop is if you actually get rid of this character. Now, can you have a moment where the light finally shines down on her and she stops a lot of this nonsense and she has like a quote unquote heroic death? Maybe, but at the same time, like, is anything ever going to be heroic with Serena at this point? I just don't know if I buy that.
She can't be redeemed for me. She just can't. Even when she's like, "Oh, let me get the doctor. Let me do this. Let me do that." I'm like, none of this will ever stop how horrible it was watching that scene with her husband where she's holding June down. I can't. Taking her child, no. Serena is the absolute worst, and she needs to get hers.
Now,
Team mob.
What was so interesting to me about watching those scenes on the train where she was like offering all these things to June, I was just like, I don't trust any of these things that she's offering. Like, I was so worried anytime she said she was going to do something to help that she would just, take the coal and just run off. And then we would never see her again. And like something terrible would happen. But Serena ends up being, kicked off the train effectively before reaching the destination. And I will say for me, both the biggest surprise and even temporary moment of joy that I had in these 3 episodes, I did not know Cherry Jones was coming back to the show as Holly, and just seeing her up in Alaska, and I know there's a lot of just trouble with that relationship and all that. I was just like, I'm so happy you're here. I like it when a show can surprise me.
Yes, it was very surprising to see that reunion. And, some could be out there and be like, it's a little too coincidental.
Yeah.
Sure, possibly. But it's also a much smaller world at this point. So, there's only so many places that people can escape to. So it makes sense that this would happen.
Yeah. Now, I don't have any problem with her being there. I will say there is a little bit of Game of Thrones final season travel going on these first few episodes where we spend all this time with June on that train ride, and then she suddenly just manages to get all her way back, and a couple episodes later it's just like, how is everything going here pace-wise?
Yeah, I mean, traveling from Toronto all the way to Alaska, I mean, that's days and days and days on a train.
Yeah, it's a very, very long time. But
it is.
All that aside, the other issue I guess I had with a lot of this stuff early on this season, and it was fun to explore Alaska briefly, to see all this, to see where Serena has ended up and her new quote unquote community that she's leaving for reasons that still remain unclear to me, to go back to New Bethlehem. It's just, it kind of felt like we put these characters in these new spots, and then, as episode 2 went along, it was just like, you know what? Whoa. We're just going to go back and reset everything, almost as though these 2 episodes didn't even really happen.
Yeah, here's the thing. What is Serena's real motivation? Like, we've seen her try to be like, oh, I'm here to help. Then we also saw her on the train being like, I'm right. Everything I said is correct. And then, so by the time Lawrence finds her and is like, listen, New Bethlehem, this is the way it's going to be. Let's try to fix things to make it to be your vision. Is it really about fixing things and making things better? Is it really about Serena's faith in this? Or is it her own ego where it was like, yeah, I created this whole thing and it didn't turn out the way that I had envisioned it and I created it, and now I have a chance to go back and be in a position of power. I say it with a laugh because she won't.
No.
But that I can go back and be in a position of power and make things different and change things around the way that I wanted them to be. And it's like, it could be all of these things, but but it really feels like while it's about her faith is tied to her own ego and power.
I think that to a certain extent, that's what's driving both her and Commander Lawrence at the same time. And that I believe Commander Lawrence does want to try to make Gilead quote unquote better. Like, I do think he buys into that to a certain extent, that he doesn't like what it's become. But it's like, at the same time, this is not a redemption tour for you either, because you're trying to sort of recreate this new world, this new community that just so happens to be one where you are fundamentally safe. You're not actually getting punished for your role in anything. You're just trying to make things a little bit better while still maintaining an element of power and being like, see, guys, this is what I'm really all about. And it's just, it's icky. And that's the thing with this character, is that he has always been his own unique brand of holier than thou, where he thinks it's
Yes.
like, I'm better than the other commanders. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, but the bar is at the bottom of the universe. It's just like, it does not take much to be better than the other commanders. It does not mean you're good.
Yeah, no, the bar is in hell,
Yeah,
and he is there being like, well, I am the best of them. It's just like,
yeah.
good for you. You're the best horrible person. Amazing.
Yeah, it's just their egos are both out of control in this completely insane way. And I mean, that is why I think fundamentally it makes sense that the two are around each other. But I still think when the chips are down for both of them, they will do horrible things again. It's just, it's easy for Lawrence to be in this sort of space when he has like a modicum of safety and nobody is breathing down his neck.
Okay, let's talk about Mark and Mayday and Canada. I
Yeah.
mean, it seems like there's a lot that's going on here that Canada has basically given up at this point because they kind of have to. It
Yeah.
sounds like their, forces are depleted. They're just not able to fight anymore. And that they've decided that they're going to find a way to have some sort of relationship with Gilead. And we had already seen in season 5 that was happening up there.
Yeah.
Gilead was moving in up there. We saw what happened to June. We saw the Wheelers.
Mhm.
Things were moving into Canada, and there is no way to really stop it if that's what the government is going to do at that point, that the people can just either accept it or join Mayday. And it feels very much like Mark is trying to ride that fence where he's a little bit in government, but he's also really into Mayday and trying to find ways to stop what's going on.
Mark superglued his butt to the fence seasons ago. This
I know.
character, like, I am fascinated watching Mark, but at the same time, Mark continuously also makes me very, very mad, because it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too the entirety of this show, Mark. I think we are setting up that he's going to make more of a definitive choice in this final season at some point, because things are going to get really, really tenuous. I just don't trust him to make the right one, because he's just gonna try to keep his butt glued somewhere, and I just think he's gonna opt with safety, because if he really wanted to further help the Mayday cause or do something to really try to change the world, he would have done it already.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm Canadian, just for you guys that don't know. I'm Canadian and I'm American. I have dual citizenship.
Mhm.
I did not want to watch a story where Canada comes in and they're just the heroes that, help take back America. I'm not interested in that story. I want to see America, the, unrecognized America, actually come back and take back their own country. I'd rather see that story than see Canada come in and, be the good guys. I'm not interested in that.
No, I'm interested in a story about a small group of people overcoming impossible odds. Like, who
Right.
doesn't love an underdog story? And I think what this show is getting right, as frustrating as it may be to watch at times, is just how complicated a lot of these relationships between different countries, different regimes really
Mhm.
are, because you're thinking with all these different strategies, and sometimes they're very, very misguided. I think it's a reminder that sometimes it can be very difficult to trust people who are in positions like the position that Mark is in right now, because he's trying to think with all these different hats on. And at the same time, a lot of normal people are just like, okay, stop thinking about the leaders. Think of us. And then they're never actually going to do that.
Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about Aunt Lydia, who
Yeah.
is really delusional about what her spot actually is. And she has been for quite a while. I mean, some people have tried to kind of put her in her place and be like,
Yeah.
still remember that you are never going to be a man in this world that is run by men. You don't actually have power. You are just looking after the other women, and you're all in a position of lesser power. So watching her try to figure out how to get Janine out of seemingly Jezebel's. I didn't say that that's where it was, but that feels like where it was, or some sort of offshoot den of Jezebel's,
Yeah.
that she's really shocked by it, and trying to have that conversation with Naomi and Lawrence where it's like, yeah, I've been told all this time that, like, if the handmaids serve their purpose and they do well, that they are rewarded for that, that they then move into a different, better position, not that they're thrown to the colonies or sent over to Jezebel. So, like, how is this happening? And she's learned again that it doesn't matter what she thinks, they do what they want.
Yeah, you don't have any power in all of this, Aunt Lydia. And I'm interested in her story because, minor testament spoilers ahead. Like, she is the one character from The Handmaid's Tale who has been confirmed to be a part of that show. So it's like, she's obviously not going to die over the course of this final season. So the question then becomes, how much can she evolve? And I hope she evolves a good bit. Like, she's never going to be able to take away the things that she's done, but she can learn, okay, how to not do those things, how to not trust all these people in power. And can I just now sit here and say, Janine, I have said this before, you are my favorite character on The Handmaid's Tale, fellow one working eye person in this universe. I need you to have happiness, and I also need The Handmaid's Tale to give you more screen time than just like a brief appearance in the first 3 episodes. I am already just egregiously annoyed.
I am completely annoyed as well. I mean, so many of us out there love Janine. She's just she is the hope. She is somebody that I just so desperately want to have a happy ending, and seeing her there, I mean, it really breaks my heart. I don't know how she gets this happy ending, but please just give her that happy ending. She just needs a break, please.
I think what's going to make the rest of this season interesting is that while I may have my frustrations here or there about how people travel around the world, like they're clearly setting up a spot here where June is going full revolutionary, and she's going to really start to put together plans as to how to take down Gilead, whatever that ends up looking like. But I think,
and to get her daughter.
Yeah, I think to know that this is the final season, that there's probably going to be a lot of reunions. There's probably going to be a lot of nostalgia sprinkled in. Like, I do believe that some of these other characters will see Janine again. Now, that does not guarantee that Janine is going to make it out of this situation alive, but I'm just really curious to see how the writers are going to find a way to ebb and flow with all these stories that are in different parts of Gilead, and try to find a way to actually have it all come together and have it make sense.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, the Testament has been, greenlit. It's going forward here. So is Gilead going to be taken down and wrapped up? I mean, the answer is no, it's not, right? So really, this is about June and June finding happiness. Is it going to be her being able to get Hannah out? Is she not going to be able to? Is it going to be her and Luke and Nicole who are going to be moving on with Moira? Is her and Nicole going to move on with Nick? Like, how is it really going to end?
I feel like the most important word I can think of to describe this final season right now is legacy. And I don't mean that just from the sense that June may die, because June may very well die. But I think the important question here is just, what can June do that is passed on to people, whether they live longer than her, whether they hear her story, whether she's still out there and able to impart wisdom to other people. But her impact, I think, is going to reverberate through the rest of this season, whatever she chooses to do. I just hope that it's awesome. I just hope that we see some of these super sanctimonious people finally taken down, and that she has a real semblance of what happiness looks like for her, even if she doesn't achieve it.
Yeah, I don't know that June makes it out of this alive, but I think that the conversation that she had with her mother about, where they were like, how did you get out? How'd you get out? Then her mother being like, well, I raised you to be, this really strong person that's able to get through anything. And the idea of, her mother giving that to her, and then her trying to give that to Nicole, and as much as she could give it to Hannah, where she's, now she's like, oh, last time I saw Hannah didn't even know who I was
Yeah.
anymore, but that doesn't mean that you're not passing down those traits, that we're going into the next generation when we're going into the Testaments.
Yeah, I think all of that can very, very much be there. But I think in general, I'm very happy The Handmaid's Tale is back. I think we had a lot of really good, interesting,
Yes,
emotional stuff
yes.
through these first few episodes. But before we wrap everything up here, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any other reviews, previews, theories, like Jess pointed out. Also, The Last of Us is premiering very, very soon. We're super excited to get into that. And if you do want to support us further, join our Patreon. We have a link in the description there. We are covering exclusively there in video form The Pit, as well as Bosch Legacy. Thank you so much.
Thank
We will
you.
see you here next time.